Well, good morning. Ira Epstein with your Morning Flash Update, and this update is for Tuesday, the 8th of October, 2024, just getting in front of 8:20 a.m. Central Time. All right, an interesting morning because to me the big event of the day was what was going to go on in China. We were supposed to get a new economic plan coming out of them, and we did. It amounted to nothing, and I had told my traders yesterday, I said, please be careful. China disappoints an awful lot. Their last plan was not a disappointment, but this time they were supposed to come out with something that might really spur things on further. It's more of the same, not much there. And you don't have to believe my opinion, just take a look at the energy markets because they have been going up on the wish and the hope that China's economy coming back. There's going to be huge demand for oil. That is coming out. Nothing has changed in the Middle East. So this is the fact that we are back in China from the Golden Week holiday. Today was the first day the markets had a chance to open for the mainland stocks, and they're down 10%. So you're getting a big swing the other way in this disappointment today. As for the U.S., we keep adding yield. Remember, when you go up in futures, yield is falling. But you're going the opposite way. You keep falling, and this market is still, if you will, reeling from the unbelievable strength that we've seen in the U.S. labor market. I mean, that was just a blowout number on Friday. It takes a day or two for this to work itself through the market, and the market is still wondering just what the heck happened. In the grain markets, it's more of the same. You've got to understand you're at the swing of harvest right now. I'm watching the cold weather setting in. Parts of Chicago, the suburbs, some of them were down in the 30s today, and that means when you go out into the farmland areas here, it's really cold, and that's got the farmers doing just what they want. The growing season coming to an end. The first frost will lock that in, and now they get themselves really moving at 100 miles an hour in order to get their crops. And generally when the crops come in, you get a little pressure on the market. Then you look at the size of the crops and you play accordingly. Dollar down a fraction, you're up that fraction in the euro, the two flip each other. I have no idea why the Swiss franc was as strong as it was yesterday, but it did do that. And I can see where the 131 area temporarily is the support zone in the pound. Now, when we come to the metal markets, this is a crowded trade on the upside. You do understand that. The market had been looking for a continuation of weak jobs, the Fed coming to the rescue of that market by cutting interest rates maybe as much as 50 basis points in November, which is gone. And now every day that goes by, there's more and more talk. Maybe the Fed doesn't even cut in November, but if they do, 25 basis points. And that weighs on the market at this point a bit. Does that mean the trade is over? I seriously doubt it because the Fed will have the markets back, and you're in a transition. In the stock market, you're transitioning to a market that now wants to talk earnings, not necessarily the Fed going to come to the market's rescue and a super soft landing. Maybe we get no landing. How is that? Where the market stays relatively soft, relatively, a big term. Earnings are good. The Fed keeps easing because inflation is falling and labor's not picking up dramatically. That will be the key. What does the labor market do? When we come to the day's data today, before we get too far, the National Federation of Independent Business, the September Business Optimism Index came in 0.3 better at 91.5 versus the August 91.2. The U.S. trade balance fell. They expected it at negative 70.5. They got negative 70.4 billion, and that is still roughly $8 billion less than the last report. U.S. retail sales from Redbook, well, they were up about 5% in both categories, and that's where they've been running. We're going to get this morning at 11:45 Atlanta Fed President Bostic speaking. Susan Collins is supposed to speak today as well. I don't know what time. And we'll get the API numbers coming out around 3:30 p.m. this afternoon. As for what's going on in Israel, well, the defense minister who had been erroneously reported dead by Iran is fully alive, on his way to the United States. and for talks with our defense secretary, what Israel's going to do. But at the end of the day, this is the courtesy call. We've seen these a number of times. Israel will do what Israel wants to do to protect itself. The easy target, and you're now hearing parties within the Israel Defense Cabinet saying, go after the oil. I'm guessing that the nuclear facilities are a very difficult target to take out. I'm guessing. I have no idea. You know, Israel's got so many tricks up its sleeve. How do you know there's not bombs planted down there? You just don't know what's going on, the way they did with the walkie-talkies, which was fascinating. I'm telling you, there'll be movies about this. As for the rest of the energy markets and the currency markets, currency a mixed bag. Normally at this time of the year, you start seeing support in the Aussie dollar, not getting it for whatever reason. Bitcoin acting toppy here, down $780 as you can see in the marketplace. And I'm taking a hard look right here at Nat Gas. I think a major top is forming in Nat Gas, and I think that's one of the markets I have maybe even want to do a special report on as to what the norm is at this time of year. With that in mind, I'm Epstein. I'll catch up with you all at the end of the day with our market reviews. I'll see you then.